Hello and welcome to BBC World News. We have breaking news at this hour, and a plane is reported to have gone down over the southern French Alps. It's operated by Germanwings, an A320 Airbus.
Meine Damen und Herren, erschütternde Nachrichten erreichen uns aus Südfrankreich. Der Absturz der deutschen Maschine mit über 140 Menschen an Bord ist ein Schock, der uns in Deutschland und der Franzosen und Spanier in tiefe Trauer stürzt.
The search and recovery operation has resumed in southern France, the normally tranquil alpine sky resonating as teams of investigators are carried to and fro following yesterday's plane crash.
And from the gendarmerie, which is leading the investigation, and from us as well, the most probable interpretation is that the co-pilot,
par une abstention volontaire,
due to a voluntary abstention, refused to open the cabin door to the pilot. He refused to open the cockpit door and action the button which starts the descent procedure.
A joint French-German investigation team are trying to figure out what might have motivated him to crash the plane on purpose. There have been unconfirmed reports that he suffered from depression and mental illness.
A collection there of clips from the English language media on how they reported this week's events. There were clips from BBC News, Euronews, Sky News and Deutsche Welle. So, Rob, maybe you could give us a summary of what occurred.
On Tuesday morning, terrible news came from France. An Airbus A320 flying towards Dusseldorf crashed in a remote part of the Alps. All 150 people on board were killed. French officials say that they are confident the co-pilot intentionally put the plane into a descent. While they believe that the co-pilot was most likely the cause of the crash, investigators still haven't entirely ruled out the possibility of a technical failure.
The mountain rescue team was able to recover a voice recorder from the crash site. The second black box is still missing. This data recorder would help to provide more information into the cause of the crash. On Thursday, Michael König, reporter for the Süddeutsche Zeitung, spoke to me from Munich via Skype. So, Michael, what exactly happened to Germanwings flight 9525?
Yeah, well, on Tuesday morning, Germanwings flight from Barcelona to Düsseldorf crashed in the French Alps, killing 150 people, all of the passengers and the crew. Among the victims, there were 49 Spaniards and 70 people from Germany, the biggest group of passengers. Among them, there were school kids from the city of Haltern in North Rhine-Westphalia and their two teachers. It was just a devastating crash. The plane hit the mountain at very high speed, so it was ripped apart in little pieces, basically. And the crash site is in very rough terrain, surrounded by mountains and only accessible by foot or by helicopter, so the rescue operations are very difficult.
Yes, we received the information that the crash apparently happened at 9:40 a.m. We received the information shortly thereafter. Straight away, François Hollande, the president of France, gave a statement almost straight away saying that there were no survivors. And I think that goes some way to showing how absolutely devastating the crash was. And we see images of the crash site on news channels, and we can see it really is absolutely devastating. There are almost no pieces of the fuselage intact.
Right, yeah. And we don't really want to know what happened to the bodies laying there. I think it's really a horrible crash. And after hours of searching the area, the investigators or rescue forces found the voice recording device that was built in the plane, which was damaged, but they managed to analyze the last minutes of the flight and what was spoken in the cockpit.
So with this information, first of all, we can see on the internet, anyone can access it on a website like Flight Radar 24. We can see what happened in terms of the trajectory of the flight. But now that we have the voice recorder, what can we piece together to try and find out what caused the crash?
Well, first, it was a bit of a mystery why the plane went down rather slow. The descent took like for 10 minutes or so, which is quite unusual because normally when there's a technical problem or so, the descent would be much faster. But now the French prosecutors and investigators, they say that the analysis of the voice recorder, it shows that minutes before the crash, the co-pilot locked himself in the cockpit while the pilot was using the restroom. And he locked this door in a way that the pilot couldn't enter the cockpit anymore. And this man, 20 years old, from Germany, he seemed to began the descent on purpose. That finally resulted in the crash.
I should say 28 years old was the man. We're not going to mention his name on the program, but it's been put around the internet quite a lot. And so we know a bit about him. We know that he has some flying experience, about almost 700 hours, I think I read. The pilot, on the other hand, had thousands of hours of experience, but he wasn't there. He wasn't in the cockpit when it happened because he was locked out. And we have also seen that the procedure for the cockpit door means that someone can open the door from outside with a special code, but a person inside the cockpit can lock the door, meaning that even with a code, absolutely no one can gain access. And it seems, according to the French prosecutor who gave a statement today on Thursday, as we're recording this, said that it seems the door was purposefully locked from inside the cockpit by the co-pilot.
Right. According to the prosecutors, the voice recorder shows that the co-pilot kept on breathing normally for 8 more minutes until the crash, while you can hear the pilot trying to break in the door, kicking the door and screaming without success, and the passengers start screaming as well at the end when they maybe see the mountains coming near. So, it's just one theory among others, but the investigators say that it could be an act of committing suicide by the co-pilot.
Yes, and I think also something which came out of the press conference, which was today, from Carsten Spohr, the CEO of Lufthansa, which owns Germanwings. He said that they believe that all of their procedures are correct for monitoring the health and well-being of their pilots, and that this was simply a one-off, which is so rare, which cannot be prevented or could not be foreseen, as he put it. And while they will be reviewing their procedures, it seems that they would find it really hard to prevent something like this from happening, because, of course, with the door of the aircraft, you don't want to make it easy to enter the cockpit. And also, you always have to be able to put full trust in the people who are flying the plane. But I think looking to the future, perhaps things which could be changed in order to prevent this from happening in the future. I think in America and some European airlines, they make sure that there are always 2 staff members in the cockpit at a time, so that if the pilot leaves the cockpit, that a steward, for example, would enter the cockpit simply to be there, to observe, as in case some kind of very rare incident would happen. And I think that could be one direction that they're looking at for the future. What's going to happen next after this terrible incident?
I think that's one main point in the discussion. How can a company prevent their pilots from mental illness, or how can they detect those things? People that wanted to become a pilot tell us that it is standard procedure to be checked, like in a psychological test at Lufthansa headquarters when you want to start there and you want to fly for them. And if you fail at this one test, then you're out. So they take this very seriously. On the other hand, there were reports that the co-pilot suspended his education at the pilot school, so to say, Lufthansa's pilot school in Bremen, city of Bremen, because of things like that. So it's not really clear, and it's too early to say what exactly happened there, what was the problem. But I think Lufthansa and Germanwings will take this very seriously and try to detect those things, prevent those things better than they do now.
Okay, Michael König, journalist for Süddeutsche Zeitung, thank you very much for joining us here on This Week in Germany.